Okay, Janae, if you kind of walk through with us here and stop at some of the ones that you'd like to talk about, and that would be great. And
Oh, sure.
take your
Okay.
time, and
Okay.
we'll do it at your pace. Go
That
ahead.
sounds good. Okay, so I am a painter who uses acrylic paint pretty much straight out of the tube. I like very, very bright primary colors when I'm painting. I use India ink. First, I'll lay down an environment. A lot of times I'll put different mixed media, newspaper, tissue paper, and create the environment first. And then I'll either take a life drawing class or a figure class, and I may find some drawings that I want to actually overlay to the environment. And so then I apply that with India ink. And then go in and kind of push and pull the background to make the form appear on the page. So that's pretty much my technique with that. This one's called Out of Reach. This painting actually was one of my favorite figure models. She goes by Elle, I think, on Instagram, but she was sitting in a plexiglass chair, and so it was clear, and so we didn't draw the chair, I just drew her form as how she was sitting in the chair. And she's really, really easy to draw because she has lots of curves. Yeah, fantastic. She has really dynamic poses, so it was a lot of fun.
Great discussion.
Yeah, so we can walk along here. This was one of my first paintings that I actually completed. I just literally procured my first art studio 2 summers ago. And so this was one that has been sitting around, and I didn't get a chance to finish it because it's hard when you're sitting in a small apartment. You have to set up and then break down and set up again. So this one, once I got into my studio, I was able to finish it. And again, creating the background or the environment first. So there was a lot of texture. There is some tissue paper and whatnot, maybe some pieces of tape on here. And then this one I did from the live form. This model was down in San Luis Obispo. And I was able to put him right on the page, and it was a lot of fun, and it was magical because it happened pretty quickly. And then I was able to touch it up later and kind of push and pull the background as well. So,
Nice.
yeah. That one's called Proud Flesh.
Okay.
We just keep on going? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So this one is called Color My World. Again, straight out of the tube. Created a background and then just laid the figure on top with India ink. And I seem to have an affinity for torsos, not necessarily care for people's faces, but there's something really magical that happens between the bottom of the jaw to the top of the thigh for me. And so I like to paint that. There's something very alluring about wondering what this person is thinking or doing because you can't see the expression on their face. So I enjoy doing that.
Okay.
This one here is a little bit more easier to see. It is a combination of mixed media. There is tissue paper that is overlaid in the corners here. This is one of my more fuller, I guess, from head to toe paintings that I've done. And he was sitting on a pedestal, and he just kind of had his hands, or his head in his hands, and I thought that was a really nice, I guess, pose to put on paper, and so that's what I did, and I only used one color, which was purple, because I tend to use different colors. Yeah.
All right.
This one here is called Harlequin. This one was a lot of fun because I actually had no investment in this one before. It was on newsprint, and I was going through all of my drawings, and I can't get to a lot of figure drawings where I live because I do have a day job. And so I thought I'll rework this and just have some fun with it. And my mentor, Joanne Buell-Ruggles, who's down in San Luis Obispo, who does the figure phenomenally, I posted it on my Instagram, and she said, "Done. Don't touch it anymore." And I said, "Okay, it's gonna go in the show then." So she really liked this one, and I liked the colors, the little swatches of yellow and stuff, so I decided to call it Harlequin.
That's great.
Because it has kind of a Harlequin, pattern to it. But again, it's similar. This is newsprint, and it's India ink with acrylic. And pushing and pulling. Sometimes if I don't like the background, I'll just put more white in the background and then kind of overlay and do more color. Didn't have to do too much. I just kind of went in with white and accentuated the lines. And this is probably one of my very few that I just kind of have fun with having the lines come off the figure. But I really enjoy this one. And it's called Inspiration because I feel like the person sitting there contemplating and being inspired by something, whatever they might be looking at. And then we have this one again. This is actually on canvas, mixed media. There's texture here. There's a piece of paper that I put on the page. India ink again, acrylic paint, as with, all of them. This one here, I did a little bit of fun with, I think I can't think of it. It's painting paste, I believe, to put some texture on here, which was a lot of fun. This is probably one of my brighter pieces. Very, very bright pink fuchsia coming out of the tube, as well as this golden yellow. This was a gentleman on Instagram who is an art model, and who sent me some of his photos.
Okay, Janae.
Yeah, so this one here, I call it Reaching for Peace. He was doing a yoga pose at the time. And it was an art model on Instagram who saw my work and wanted me to do a painting of his. And so I took one of his poses. I have a thing about the way I crop my figures on the page. I don't like things smack dab in the middle. I think that's very boring. So I do take a little bit of off center, or even have it bleeding off the page, which this one is as well. But there's something exciting about an image being off center as opposed to smack dab in the middle, because it's just boring. It's totally boring that way. This is one of my largest pieces. Oh goodness, this one was a lot of fun because this model was very dynamic in her poses. She would just do these great, like a leg over the head or behind, her back. But then she settled down somewhere, I think about an hour into it, and she was very relaxed. And she looked really secure in what she was doing. So I already had the background on here. I used a palette knife and just kind of spread the color around, and then I laid her on here. And this was the time when I was kind of working on feet, because I'm not really good at feet and hands. And so I was very proud of this foot and this hand as well. But there's something about her backside that's amazing. I don't purport to know the figure or the muscles and the skeleton. That's not the right way I'm trying to say.
Anatomy type.
Yeah, anatomy. And that's not the type of artist I am. It's close enough. And there's something about it, just that it is a figure, and it may not be exact. But that's how I do my work, It doesn't have to be exact.
Exaggerate the lines that you like.
Exaggerate the lines a little bit, elongate something here or there. Yeah. So that's that. And then this one here was a lot of fun. Another piece I was not invested in because I had it sitting on behind my wall in my studio. And so because I wasn't invested in it, allowed me to be very free with it. And so I just started taking some cutouts that belonged to not my birth mom, but my parents who adopted me. And my mom passed last year, so I was coming across all these things like origami, things like that. So I thought, I'll just shove it on here. And then I started liking it. And then the background was too loud, so I put some watercolor paper that I already had, color on. It just kind of muted the background. And then there she is, and she's beautiful. I absolutely love her. I like women who are more voluptuous when it comes to painting and drawing. They have much better curves, and it represents someone who I am because I'm not a stick-thin person. I like women who have curves, and they're more robust and much more interesting to draw and paint, for sure.
Very Raphael-esque.
Yes, exactly. So we're almost to the end here, but this one here is another one of my favorites. This ranks right up there with Proud Flesh for me, and Out of Reach. There's a lot going on as far as there's newspaper on here, there's a lot of texture. The paper is not cut exact, which is something I like about that. And it's on an art paper, and I laid down all this texture and then found a drawing that I wanted to put on it. And it really turned out well. And Maker's Workspace is where I have my studio in Berkeley. And one of the artists who I'm very friendly with said, "Oh, Janae Kelly did another sumptuous work." And I go, "And that's the name, Sumptuous." Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And it worked out really well. And then the last one we have here is called My Body Beautiful. And this model is someone who I really, really like on. She's down in San Luis Obispo, and she has a body very much like me. And so I really enjoyed painting her and drawing her. And this is one that happened very quickly. I really enjoyed just blocking out the colors, you know, and then just bringing her forward. This one doesn't have a lot of texture on it, but the texture is created through the brush strokes that I have on here. So that is my work.
Very nice, Janae.
Thank you so much.
I love your discussion on them. Yes.
Great, thank you.
So,
All right, Geraldine, if you'll just walk us through some of your pieces, that'd be great.
one of the things that I like about photography is that you can move in close and sort of confuse people. And then they look at it, at the result, and they say, what the heck is that? And you tell them, and they say, oh, of course, I knew that.
Oh.
You know, it's the aha moment. But I like fooling people. And this is a classic. This is just a sunny day, my kitchen table, and there was some kind of marks on it. And I only saw this once. I've never seen it since. So I don't know what that is. But it's fun. This is a car.
All right, so which one are we on now, Geraldine?
It's called Many Roofs Building. I did a show, some of these pieces are from the show called Visual Poetry, where I found poetry and I would take pictures to go with it, or I would find poetry to go with the pictures. And this one is from a poem by Jane, oh my God, her name, Hirschfield. And she has a poem called Many Roofs Building. And I saw it in the New Yorker, and I thought, oh wow, this is great. And this is some bricks. I haven't even got a title on it yet. It's just, they're in a barbecue at a Sillamar, and there's, you know, the wire grid on top, so that's what makes the geometry. So that's called brick geometry. And this is one of my favorites, because you really don't know what it is. And what it is, it's that kind of pebble privacy glass like you would have on a bathroom. And behind it is a Venetian blind. And these are all the different shades of the blinds. And I call it diamonds because it looks like diamonds. So that next we have bubbles. And this is one day I was doing the dishes, and I liked the way it looks. So I believe that's a dish. I don't know. And this is called Monopoly Crew Wine, because it's a glass of wine sitting on a Monopoly playboard.
I like that one, yeah.
I do too. I like it. It's fun. And this is me before I had aqua hair. I have a lot of car things. I was wearing a pink jacket, so that's all the pink in there is from me. And then sometimes I like kind of quiet. And this is the big ice machine at the Black Door in Gualala. And I think that's it for this side. We can go over to the other side now.
Okay.
You ever get cookies that are packaged in foil? This is a package of cookies in foil, and I'm wearing that same pink thing that I wore for the pink headlight. And it just reflected off, and I like it. And if you look very carefully, you can see a face. It's unintentional, obviously. And that's just called tall pink because it's a vertical, and I didn't know what to call it. So here we have one of my favorites. This is from the Visual Poetry Show. And it's, T.S. Eliot, I have heard the mermaids singing, but they do not sing for me. And I was at a hotel that had a balcony, and it had glass And you know, with the dots on the glass are light here and they're dark here because the sun is coming through. And somehow it just seemed very undersea feeling. And I really like that. More car art, no parking. And I just realized that I printed this backwards. That's okay. It's going to say no parking on the other. So I was having coffee one morning, and I don't know. I think again I was writing something pink. And this is the edge of my coffee cup. And I just love it. I love the coffee cup. And you know, because I'm an IKEA patron. So that's an IKEA coffee cup. This one was a lot of fun because the manhole cover is a reflection on my window. The grass, the ivy stuff is, I was parked in my car, and this is from my driver's side window, and so I took a picture of that through the window, and this is across the street. This is like 20 feet away. And I forget what I called it, and I don't see that it has a tag, so it's called, I don't know. Don't remember his name. Sorry about that. And this one is, it's a glass of wine, and it's sitting on a pink coaster, and it's a pretty extreme close-up. But I like the shape. I like the not knowing what it is and not having to know what it is. You know, because it's just pretty. And this one, so much fun. Oh, see, this is my car. It's not my car. It's called Car in Reverse. And because this is actually the top of the photograph I took. And then I thought, well, that's kind of boring. It's reflection in a puddle. So I just reversed it. And it kind of looks like, you know, that's like in another dimension, just kind of floating around there. So.
All right. Now, I guess this artist is Janae's father,
My birth father.
and was one time partner of Geraldine.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So, if the both of you collaborate a little bit on telling about old Dad's work here.
Yeah. So this is Raymond Albert Pearson. He's my birth father. This is some of his work on this side here. He was an oil painter as well as any kind of media he could get his hands on because he didn't have a lot of money. He would create work. So this art piece here, or this piece here, is just a scene in a bar. You know, using an ink pen, using line, a little bit of a wash with watercolor. He liked to work with oils as well, so we have this really lovely jazz scene here. I believe this is on masonite board with oil. And what's interesting about this here is that we kind of figured out, because he worked for Disney at one point, who was one of the first black animators there in the 50s, that we think this might be Walt Disney. It's a possibility. There's a few other people here making cameos, maybe Marlon Brando, a young Marlon Brando, Joan Crawford over there, and then maybe Woody Allen. But this is just such a lovely piece. And how big is it? It's 2 feet. The way I came about most of the artwork that you see here, and there's so much more, is Geraldine presented me with his works on my 40th birthday. And we were in Calistoga, Indian Springs. She had this very shabby little box that looks like it had been dragged around for years, but she wrapped it so lovingly with this beautiful green scarf. And when I opened it up, the first thing on top was a photograph of him, which I had never seen him up until that point. And so I started bawling, of course, because I was like, this is him. Now I know who I look like. Not only Geraldine, but I also looked like him. And everything underneath that photograph were journals of when he traveled to Guatemala, Mexico, he went to the Caribbean, and he would do all these sketches. So I have multiple books of sketchbooks of his travels.
Nice.
Yeah, and so this painting here, one of Geraldine's long-term friends, that they're not in contact anymore, but her daughter had been dragging this around for years, and we got in contact, and she told me, this needs to be in your home now. So I was able to procure that along with the other piece, percussion on the other side. Oddly enough, a woman that I volunteer at a horse rescue with had it this whole time. And I got connected through Geraldine's friend, and she said I could have it. So now it's part of the estate, which is fabulous. But he does a great job with working with line, looking at scenes that just kind of capture his eye. Like this one right here, which I call Blues Guitarist. I think he spent a lot of time sitting in pubs and just watching what was going on around him. And he would just, this is just ink. This is an ink pen with just a little bit of like a watercolor brush with just some wash. But his line work is phenomenal.
Nice.
Just feels so good.